Discover the incredible moment. A hidden connection exposed in a cafe transforms lives forever. Ava stood behind the counter of the Cozy Cup, the cafe she had called her second home for the past 5 years. The rain tapped rhythmically against the window, mingling with the sound of clinking dishes and quiet chatter, wrapping the charming establishment in a warm embrace. It was the only place in town where the scent of freshly brewed coffee could briefly erase life's harshness. But even as she poured steaming mugs of dark roast for the regulars, the weight of her world settled heavily on her shoulders. She was always smiling, a mask she wore every day, while her heart ached from the burden of looking after her ailing mother. Today felt different. An electric tension danced in the air. Mr. Thompson, the well-dressed man who ordered the same coffee every day, walked through the door with a flourish. Amid the whispers of the townspeople, who always speculated about his choice to remain in this struggling town, Ava saw a man lost in his own world, not realizing the gravity of the storm brewing outside. Little did she know, the life-altering truth about to unfold would change that perception forever. As she wiped down the counter, a flash of recognition ignited her memory. Mr. Thompson was the estranged father of her high school best friend, Elise, who had long since abandoned the place in search of luxury. Emotions surged within her, resentment for someone who turned their back on their roots, mixed with an unexpected kinship with this man who seemed untouched by the town's struggles. The realization hit her like a jolt of electricity. The cafe hummed with chatter, but Ava felt disconnected from it all. The looming crisis shadowed their lives. Local factories were threatening closure, and families desperately clung to the hope of a better tomorrow. She wiped away a tear and took a deep breath. It was time for action. She gathered every ounce of determination and decided to rally the community, her heart pounding with urgency. But moments like these call for unexpected allies. It didn't take long for Mr. Thompson to recognize his ties to the community through Elise. Reluctance etched his features, yet he offered his support, believing it could amend the fractures of his past. Just when hope flickered on the horizon, misunderstandings began to pull them apart. The cafe became a battleground. Conflicting views on privilege and responsibility erupted like a volcano. "Do you even care?" Ava's voice pierced through the tension. The cafe fell silent, tension palpable as both sides looked on, their whispered judgments mixing with rising frustration. "You walked away, but I didn't leave this place behind. I thought I was keeping it alive," Mr. Thompson shot back. The intensity of his gaze caught her off guard. Both felt the weight of their shared history, the struggle for pride and forgiveness towering over them like a shadow. The community was divided. People they had known forever were suddenly enemies in the pursuit of justice. The clock ticked ominously. Everything felt like it was hanging by a thread. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. With emotions at a boiling point, Ava and Mr. Thompson stood amid angry murmurs and anxious eyes. As fragile trust began to fray, the fate of the factory, and perhaps the entire community, hung in the balance. Would they find a way to heal their wounds, or would their battle-driven hearts only deepen the chasm between the past and the hope for a future? The answer lingered tantalizingly close, but the resolution remained just out of reach. The tension in the Cozy Cup thickened, wrapping around Ava and Mr. Thompson like a heavy fog. The whispers among the patrons grew louder, creating an uncomfortable symphony of judgments and accusations. "Look at him," someone hissed from the corner. "He doesn't care about us." Ava's heart raced. She could feel their eyes on her, expecting her to take a stand, to choose a side. Yet the weight of the situation pressed down harder than ever. She glanced at Mr. Thompson, his brow furrowed as if he was wrestling with his own demons. "Enough," Ava finally shouted, cutting through the clamor. Silence fell like a curtain. She could feel every gaze upon her. "I know we're hurting. I know this town is hanging by a thread, but fighting among ourselves won't change anything." Her voice trembled slightly, emotions threatening to spill over, but she pressed on, We need to stand together. Mr. Thompson didn't move, but she saw a flicker of something. Maybe hope, maybe regret. What does he know about pain? An angered voice pierced the silence. He's just a rich man playing savior. Ava turned to face them all, her insides churning. He's also a person, not just a label. If you knew his story... His story? A woman spat back. What's his excuse for abandoning his family, his daughter, us? That name shot through Ava's heart like a dart. Elise, the girl who once meant the world to her, now a ghost of her past. The thought stung. Would trusting Mr. Thompson mean forgiving Elise too? She shook her head to clear her thoughts. They were spiraling. Ava's right, Mr. Thompson suddenly spoke. His voice was steadier, stronger. I can't change the past, and I can't undo my mistakes, but I want to make amends. Not just for my daughter, but for all of you. I'll do my best to help this town, if you'll let me. A murmur of hesitation rippled through the crowd. Some faces softened, while others remained resolute, unwilling to surrender their anger. Why should we trust you? A young man questioned, stepping forward defiantly. Because I've lost everything too. No amount of money can fill that emptiness. Mr. Thompson's eyes bore into the crowd, sincerity woven into every word. I'm standing right here, willing to help. Can any of you say the same? Silence again enveloped them, a heavy blanket that threatened to suffocate any rising hope. Ava felt the room shift, a subtle change hovering like the sweetness of sugar in the air. The intensity that hung in the air began to dissolve, but doubt still lingered. Would they really give this man a chance? Ava took a deep breath. She had fought her own battles. She needed to step up now more than ever. She stepped closer to Mr. Thompson, feeling the warmth of her resolve. We can't do this alone. If we work together, we can protect our jobs and save our community, but we have to choose unity over the division. Glances began to shift. A few nodded, tentatively leaning into the possibility of hope. As Ava scanned their faces, she could see a spark of something. Desire. For change, for community, for healing. Yet, just as the tension appeared to ease, the bell above the cafe door jingled, revealing a newcomer. The air shifted again, heavier this time. A familiar figure stepped inside, a figure that made Ava's heart sink, just as she thought they might find common ground. It was Elise. Ava's breath hitched in her throat, an unexpected wave of emotions crashing over her. Would this reunion mend the broken pieces, or force them further apart? The crowd watched with bated breath. What would happen next? Ava felt her heart pounding harder than ever. Elise stood in the doorway, the light framing her figure like a spotlight. Her hair caught a glimmer of golden sunlight, a stark contrast to the dark clouds of uncertainty swirling in Ava's mind. The room held its breath, every eye drawn to the tension brewing at the intersection of their past. Ava. Elise's voice wavered as she took a step forward. That single word stirred memories Ava had buried deep within her, both sweet and bitter. The years of laughter, of sisterhood, and then the cold silence that had fallen after everything changed. Ava clenched her fists, wrestling with the urge to run to her, to confront her, or to do nothing at all. Instead, she met Elise's gaze, searching for the girl she once knew. What are you doing here? Ava finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. I came to see... Elise hesitated, her eyes darted over to Mr. Thompson. I heard what happened. I wanted to understand. You want to understand? A voice snapped from the crowd, bitter and accusatory. After all this time, you just want to waltz back in. Please, everyone. Ava raised her hand, asking for calm. She felt the deep-rooted animosity in the room, an invisible wall that stood firm. Let her speak. Elise tightened her jaw, gathering strength as the weight of everyone's attention pressed down on her. I made mistakes, and I ran away, but I never stopped thinking about what I lost. I heard about the town, about my dad, about you, Ava. I'm not here to defend myself. I just want to help. Like my father, I want to fix this. A ripple of disbelief washed through the cafe. People talked in hushed tones, each whisper tinged with skepticism. Some looked to Ava, silently urging her to reject Elise. Others seemed curious, their anger softened by the sincerity they heard. Ava felt caught between the remnants of their friendship and the harm caused by Elise's absence. What do you want from us? Ava managed, her heart racing as she eyed Elise with a mix of hope and caution. Elise stepped forward, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I want to make things right. I want to be part of this community again. I know I can't erase the past, but I want to help heal it. Ava could see the raw emotion behind Elise's words. The longing for redemption mirrored her own struggles. Behind the hurt, there was a seed of possibility, fragile but alive. I think we all want to heal, Ava said softly, but trusting you, trusting anyone, is hard right now. Elise nodded, her expression earnest. I understand. Just give me a chance. Let me show you that I'm not the person who left. Will we just forget everything? The young man from before interjected, and a murmur of agreement rippled through the captivated crowd. No, Elise replied firmly. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking for a chance to prove that I can be better. An awkward silence crept back into the room, thick as the expectation that hung in the air. People cast glances at each other, weighing their choices. Ava felt the tension shift again, her heart thumping almost painfully. Could this moment be a turning point? Could they really unite in the wake of all that had happened? If we're going to be stronger together, we need to start with the hardest truths, Ava said, feeling a sense of determination build within her. We need to be honest about our pain, our fears. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but maybe, just maybe, this can be the first step. Elise's eyes sparkled with gratitude, mingled with hope. The cafe door swung open again, a blast of fresh air stirring in. Ava turned to see an old friend walk in, Jeremy, someone she hadn't seen in years, his presence looming large and unexpected. What's happening here? He demanded, his eyes darting from Ava to Elise to Mr. Thompson, confusion dancing across his features. Ava's heart raced again as a wave of possibilities washed over her. This was all changing. Would the addition of Jeremy help or hinder what fragile unity they were striving for? With questions swirling around her mind, Ava knew they were standing on the brink of something monumental. But would they choose healing over their past grudges? She took a deep breath, ready to confront this new twist in their story. Ava locked eyes with Jeremy, memories flooding back like a tide. They were young, filled with dreams that now seemed miles away. She took a step forward, the emotional distance between them stretching wide. Jeremy, it's been a long time. He shook his head, bewilderment evident in his expression. What's going on? Why is Elise here? It's complicated, Ava replied, glancing back at Elise, whose tension-filled posture revealed her vulnerability. The entire cafe felt like a stage, and everyone's attention was trained on the three of them, their expressions a mix of skepticism, hope, and unease. Complicated doesn't even begin to cover it, Jeremy said, raising his voice a little. Ava could sense the old friendship in his tone, the care underlined by frustration. Ava, she left us when we needed her most. How can we trust her now? Because I want to change, Elise interrupted, her voice steady despite the weight on her shoulders. I need to show you that my heart is here, with all of you. I want to make amends. Jeremy glanced at the crowd. People were murmuring, some nodding in reluctant agreement, while others still held on to their resentment. Is this how it's going to be? He questioned, a gnawing tension in the air. Someone just shows up after years, and we're supposed to roll out the welcome mat? Ava felt a pang of anxiety. She didn't want to lose this moment, didn't want to let old wounds fester. We can't change the past, but maybe we can find a way forward. I mean, look around. We're all hurting, and this pain, it connects us. Elise took a hesitant step closer to Jeremy, vulnerability etched on her face. I know you have every right to be angry with me, but this town, your pain, it matters to me. That's why I'm here. Just because you say it doesn't make it real, Jeremy countered, the fire in his voice simmering just beneath the surface. Elise looked down, almost defeated. Ava felt a surge of empathy for her. Elise had paraded her raw emotions in front of all of them, and now she stood there, exposed and fragile. Look, I can't do this alone, Ava said, her voice rising to hold the room's attention. We're all scared of the past, scared of what's next. But how many times do we let hurt define who we are? Maybe it's time we redefine that together. Jeremy's expression softened, the lines of anger on his face easing into curiosity. What do you suggest we do? Just forget everything? No, Ava shook her head. But we need to talk, open up, share how we feel, what's broken, what needs fixing. Maybe we start with small steps. There was silence, the kind that felt heavy yet promising. Faces around the room shifted, revealing cracks in their stubbornness. I think... Elise's voice trembled slightly, but her courage ignited the air. I think we all have stories that need to be told. I certainly do. If you'll allow me, I want to share mine. What led me away and what's bringing me back. Maybe if we all share, Maybe we can finally heal, Ava interjected, a flicker of hope igniting within the crowd. But just as a hesitant agreement began to form, the door swung open once more, a gust of wind blasting in as an unfamiliar face appeared. The newcomer surveyed the scene, eyes darting from Ava to Elise, then landing on Jeremy. "Is this the place for secrets? Because I've got plenty," the stranger smirked, grinning as if they'd just walked into a show. Ava's breath caught in her throat. Who was this person, and how would they affect the fragile progress they were trying to make? With curiosity and uncertainty intertwining, Ava realized that this cafe was about to unravel even more than she could imagine. What would these new revelations mean for the thin threads of trust being woven between the past and the present? Ava's heart raced. The stranger's grin felt like a sharp blade against the soft fabric of their tentative reunion. She glanced at Jeremy and Elise. The uncertainty in their eyes mirrored her own. Who was this person, and what chaos were they about to unleash? The newcomer, casually draped in a leather jacket, strolled over to the trio. "I've been listening," they said, almost playfully, as if they hadn't just entered an emotionally charged showdown. "Seems like you all have some digging to do. I might be able to help, if you're willing to hear me out." "Help?" Jeremy snapped, shifting his weight as his protective instincts flared. "And why would we take anything from you?" "Because," the stranger's smile faded slightly, revealing a glimpse of seriousness, "because I know things you're looking for, things that could change everything." "What kind of things?" Ava pressed, her curiosity blending with a rush of apprehension. The stranger leaned in, their voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper, though everyone in the cafe seemed to lean in closer too, captivated. "Like the reasons Elise left? The truth behind it all. It's more complicated than you know, and I've got the pieces to the puzzle." Elise's face paled, her vulnerability no longer a simple matter of regret, but something deeper, tied to the stranger standing before them. "What do you mean?" she demanded, her voice trembling slightly but laced with determination. "What do you know?" "Let's just say," the stranger hesitated, weighing their words like stones in their mouth. "There was a lot more going on than what you all think. Secrets buried deep, tangled stories that stretch far beyond this little town." A hush fell over the cafe as the patrons took in the unexpected tension. This was no longer just about forgiveness. It was morphing into something larger, more complicated. Something that held the potential to rip open wounds long thought healed. "Bring it on," Jeremy said, bracing for what might come next. "But it better be good. We've waited long enough for closure." The stranger inhaled deeply, reveling in the spotlight. "All right, let's start with Elise. Do you remember that summer when the town, well, things changed?" Ava's stomach twisted at the thought, memories of whispered conversations and laughter turning to whispers. She exchanged a glance with Elise, whose resolve began to falter. Did she really want the truth to come out? "I remember," Elise whispered, almost to herself. "But I thought it was resolved. I left to save you all from the truth, not to keep it buried." There was a flicker of something in the stranger's eyes, like they possessed the key to a locked door that would unravel everything. And maybe that was part of the problem, not just for you, but for the rest of us too. All the lies, the secrets. Ava's throat tightened. "Then what are we waiting for? Let's hear it then. But don't just drop hints. If you have something to say, say it." The tension in the air became palpable, some patrons leaning further forward in their seats. The stranger nodded, a sense of purpose shifting through them. "All right then. If you want to know the truth behind all of this, we need to go somewhere quieter, somewhere we can really unpack it all." As they gathered their interests, Ava realized there was a choice to be made: break apart completely or dive deeper into the unknown. Did they have the strength for this? "What do you think, Jared? Are we ready to face what's hidden?" Ava asked, looking to Jeremy, hoping to find guidance. He exhaled heavily, the weight of years gone by illuminating his features. "If we're going to unravel this mess, we need to do it together. No more running. But where do we start?" Before anyone could answer, the stranger shot out a sly grin, as if they were about to unleash a revelation worth more than any secret. "Let me take you back to that summer and all that happened, but be warned, the truth doesn't always set you free." Ava's heart raced. This was it. The moment of reckoning was upon them. but with every choice came the risk of pushing them all closer to the edge. Were they ready for the revelation that awaited? As the room buzzed with anticipation, she realized that this cafe was about to become a stage for a drama far beyond their understanding. What hidden connections lay buried beneath the surface, and what would it take for them to finally break free from the past? The light in the cafe dimmed slightly as the stranger turned, glancing toward the exit. Anxiety rippled through Ava. What were they about to reveal? It felt like the calm before a storm. The promise of truth hung between them like an old, dusty piece of furniture waiting to be uncovered. "Follow me," the stranger instructed, their tone shifting to a more serious pitch. With hesitant resolve, Ava exchanged glances with Jeremy and Elise. There was a nod of unity among the three, as if they'd silently agreed to confront whatever shadows the past cast. As they stepped outside, the cool air enveloped them, grounding Ava momentarily. The bustling noise of the cafe faded behind them, leaving an unsettling silence that echoed their deep-seated fears. The stranger led them down a nearby alley, away from the curious eyes of the cafe patrons. Once secluded, the stranger paused, leaning against the brick wall. "This is where it all began," they said, their eyes scanning the surroundings. "Years ago, on a warm summer night, secrets began to unfold that would ripple through your lives." "What do you mean?" Elise spoke, her voice low but strained with urgency. "People often forget the past, but it never truly leaves. It just waits, lurking in the shadows," the stranger replied, their expression somber. "The summer you all remember was a turning point, a catalyst that ignited the choices you've made since." A shudder coursed through Ava. What choices? What had happened that night? For years she had put it all in a box, shoved it under the bed of her mind, but now it was all creeping back into the light and stripping away her comfort. "Just tell us what you know," Jeremy urged firmly, his protective nature battling with fear. Desire for answers danced uncomfortably within their group. "No more games." The stranger closed their eyes for a moment, letting the weight of nostalgia sit heavily on their shoulders. "There was an accident, a breaking point. People were hurt, and you all hid from the truth to protect one another. But there may have been more to it than just an accident. Someone manipulated events." "What? Who?" Elise's eyes widened, the realization hitting as if a tangible weight pressed against her chest. The stranger opened their eyes, now reflecting a mix of anger and pity. "Your family, Elise. Your father. He was tangled in something deeper than any of you realized. You think what happened was an isolated incident, but it tied back to much darker roots that could potentially destroy the bond you've tried to build since." Ava felt a cold wave of dread wash over her. They had all built walls, ready to protect themselves, but here they were, standing on the precipice of something much greater. "What does this mean for us moving forward?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "It means facing the real reason for Elise's departure. Trust me, this will be painful, but there's no going back now. You'll find the answers you seek, but be prepared. There will be consequences. It may tear you apart or bring you closer together, and that choice lies in how you plan to address it." A heaviness settled over them, thick and suffocating. The thought of peeling back layers that had shielded them for years felt terrifying, but an ember of hope sparked deep within Ava. What if this was exactly what they needed to do? As tension hung thick in the air, Ava caught a glimpse of Elise's face. It was a mix of fear and determination. "I need to know," she whispered, almost to herself. "I need to finally know." With one last firm nod of agreement among the trio, they braced for the truth. The stranger beckoned them to follow further. "Then let's dig deeper. This isn't just about Elise's past, it's about your futures too." The alley behind them, once a shadow of hidden secrets, now felt like an omen. As they stepped into the unknown, Ava couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unfold. Would they be strong enough to handle the truth? And with that thought lingering, they moved forward, each step echoing with the weight of their destiny. What revelations awaited them, and how would they reshape everything they once held dear? The air in the alley felt electric, charged with unspoken words and suppressed emotions. Ava stole glances at her friends, searching for reassurance, but only finding the same blend of anxiety and anticipation mirrored in their eyes. They followed the stranger, whose calm demeanor seemed to contradict the turmoil that churned within each of them. As they walked deeper into the shadows, the stranger turned to face them. "You all need to understand," they said, their voice steady but low. "This isn't just about confronting the past. It's about reclaiming your present. Secrets have a way of festering, like wounds that never heal properly. What you uncover tonight can either break you or bind you closer together." Elisa's expression hardened, determination seeping into her features. "Just tell us what we need to know." Her voice held an edge, slicing through the tension that hung thick around them. "Fine," the stranger said, taking a deep breath as if preparing to leap into the unknown themselves. "It starts with your father, Elise, and an event that changed everything. That night, he didn't just lose himself, he made choices that spiraled beyond control, impacting lives far beyond his own." The wind suddenly gusted, a chill threading through the alley as Elise stiffened. "What kind of choices?" she asked, her voice cracking slightly. The stranger's eyes clouded with sorrow. "The kind that makes you question who you are. There was an argument, and things got out of hand. The fallout was catastrophic, and it wasn't just an accident. Someone had it out for him. You think he was just protecting you. In reality, he was hiding the truth. His truth." Ava's heart raced. Pieces were falling into place, but the puzzle felt impossible to complete. "But why? Why keep it hidden?" "Fear," the stranger replied. "Fear of what it could do to the family. Fear of losing what you all had built. But sometimes the things you try to shield others from create bigger rifts than the truth ever could." Silence enveloped them, and the weight of the stranger's words pressed heavily against Ava's chest. The shadows deepened around them, closing in like a giant maw waiting to swallow their hopes. "I need to know who was involved," Elise said, her voice strong. "I need to face this." "Your father thought he could handle it, but he couldn't," the stranger replied, a hint of frustration sneaking into their tone. "You will have to dig further. Contact his friends, the ones he shut out after the incident. They're the key to understanding the full scope of what happened. But be warned, some will lie to protect themselves." Ava's mind raced. And what if they won't speak to us? What if they refuse to tell the truth? Then you will have to confront them. The past doesn't just go away because you ignore it. It has a way of surfacing when you least expect it. With each ounce of bravery they mustered, the trio looked at each other, the depth of their shared ordeal binding them tighter. Jeremy then stepped forward, fisting his hands at his sides. "We can't shy away from this anymore. We owe it to ourselves to know. It's time we face whatever demons may come." Elise nodded, her eyes gleaming with resolve. "I won't let fear dictate my life anymore, not when the truth is out there." A sense of determination surged through them, unfurling like a banner against the darkness that had loomed for so long. Ava could feel the atmosphere shift, evolving from tension to a quiet, fierce strength. The stranger stepped back, seeming to understand their resolve. "I can't tell you what will come next, but remember, what you seek may lead to revelations you never anticipated. Your lives will change, for better or worse." As they turned to leave the alley, Ava took a deep breath, mentally preparing for whatever lay ahead. "We can handle it," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "Whatever it is, we can do this together." And as they stepped out from the shadows into the soft glow of streetlights, each heartbeat echoed with the promise of confronting an untold story. What awaited them on the other side? It was only a matter of time before the past would collide with the present, forcing them all to choose who they truly wanted to be. Would they emerge as survivors, or be unraveled beneath the weight of their truths? The next few days blazed by in a whirlwind of unease and determination. The weight of their mission settled heavily on Ava's shoulders. Each greeting exchanged with her friends felt layered with unspoken tension. They shared fleeting smiles, but the laughs seemed strained, the carefree moments wrapped in undercurrent of anxiety. After school, they gathered at their usual café, a small but vibrant spot with the rich aroma of coffee swirling around them, mingling with the soft chatter of other patrons. It was like a comfort zone, yet tonight it felt more like a battleground. I could see it in their eyes, a collective resolve, but also fear. Elise stirred her latte absent-mindedly, her thoughts clouded. "Have you thought about who we should reach out to first?" she asked, her voice slightly shaky. Jeremy nodded, but his expression was tight. "I think we should try Uncle Rob. He was Dad's closest friend back then. If anyone knows the truth, it's him." Ava felt a pang in her chest. She remembered the laughter they shared as kids, their homes blending into one chaotic family. "Do you think he'll be honest with us?" Elise sighed, pushing her cup away. "I don't know. What if he hasn't told us everything either?" She squeezed her eyes shut, as if trying to block the flood of memories that threatened to overwhelm her. In that moment, Ava's heart sank. The possibility of betrayal sent a chill through her. Trust was fragile enough without the threat of unveiling dark secrets. "Let's just go for it. We need answers," Ava finally said, surprised at her own strength. "No more holding back. We deserve to know the truth." As they sat in silence for a moment, it felt as if the whole world was grinding to a halt. The bustling café faded into the background. They were on a precipice, looking down at the unknown. Suddenly, the bell above the café door jingled, jolting them back to life. In walked an unfamiliar figure, tall and confident, scanning the room. Ava's breath hitched as they caught sight of her. It was someone from their past. Sessions of laughter, summer barbecues, and icy glares during arguments mingled in her mind. Katie, their childhood friend, walked toward them wearing an air of hesitation, yet with purposeful strides. Her gaze locked onto Elise first, holding a mixture of surprise and a hint of something deeper. "Katie!" Elise exclaimed, standing up abruptly. "What are you doing here?" I heard you were looking into things. I thought it might be time we talked." Katie's voice held a slight tremor, but she pressed on. "About your dad. About everything." Ava's heart raced. The stranger's warning loomed over her mind. Were they ready for this? Would Katie have information that could either heal or hurt? "Sit down," Jeremy motioned, his face reflecting the mix of cautious hope and anxiety. As Katie settled into the seat across from them, a heavy silence enveloped the cafe. It felt as though they were on the edge of a discovery that could shatter or solidify their bonds. What secrets lay hidden, and did they have the courage to face them? I could sense the shift in energy, and anticipation almost tangible in the air. This was a moment that could change everything. "Let's talk," Katie said softly, and just like that, they were nearing the edge of revelation. Would they find out more than they had bargained for? With each shared breath, the past inched closer, waiting, watching, ready to spill its secrets. Katie took a moment, her eyes darted around the table as if gauging their reactions. The air was thick with unresolved feelings.
Ava could feel her heart thumping against her ribcage, each beat echoing the many questions tumbling through her mind. "What do you know?" Ava finally managed to ask, her voice steady despite the whirlwind inside her. Katie's fingers drummed against the table, and for a moment she hesitated. I didn't reach out before because I didn't know how. I thought keeping my distance would help. But now it feels wrong not to say anything." She drew a deep breath, eyes locking onto Ava's. "Your dad and I, we shared secrets. Things that could change everything for you." Jeremy leaned forward, his expression intent. "What secrets?" Katie swallowed hard, her gaze dropping to her cup. "There were reasons things ended the way they did. Your father didn't leave without a fight, Ava. He wanted to protect you." Ava's gut twisted. Protect? But from what? Her mind raced back to all the half-answered questions they'd ever had about their past. "What do you mean?" she pressed, the urgency in her tone unmistakable. Before Katie could reply, Elise interjected. "You have to understand, this isn't just about your dad. We're in this together. Whatever happened then impacts all of us now." Katie looked between them, her eyes softening. "It could hurt," she warned, "but you deserve to know the truth. It's been buried too long." The cafe around them grew quieter, each sound magnified as they awaited her revelations. The barista took a moment to glance their way, sensing the electric tension swirling in the air. Katie finally spoke, her voice both strong yet fragile. "Your dad had a plan that went beyond just making a life for you all. There were people involved, people who didn't want him to succeed. When he started to dig into things that he believed were connected to your family's past, well," she paused, gathering her thoughts as if every word carried the weight of history. Ava leaned in closer, rooted to her seat. "What kind of people?" "People who were connected to your mom," Katie replied, a shadow crossing her face. "Mysteries in a life you thought was simple, the kind that could shatter everything." Ava felt her heart sink. Her mind raced with fragments of old memories, hints dropped over family dinners, hushed conversations overheard through half-open doors. She glanced at her friends, who wore expressions of bewilderment, mirroring her own inner turmoil. "Is that why Jeremy started, but the words got trapped in his throat. "Why he left, or why he was taken from you," Katie finished, an edge of sadness in her tone. "In a way, yes, he was trying to protect you from all of it, but secrets have a way of coming to light, don't they?" Ava's chest constricted. The truth felt like a double-edged sword, something that promised clarity but could slice through the bonds they all shared. Yet beneath the weight of her fears was a flicker of hope. "So where do we begin?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We confront the past. Uncle Rob knows more."
"He has to," Katie said, her eyes fierce yet pleading. "But you have to be ready for what you might discover." There was determination in Ava's heart, ignited by the brave spark in Katie's words. The challenge loomed ahead, terrifying and necessary. She took a breath, looking at each of her friends in turn. "Together," Ava said, "we'll face whatever this is, together." As a collective resolve set in, a sense of unity washed over them. But as excitement and fear intertwined in the air, a nagging question lingered in Ava's mind. Would the truth they uncovered bind them closer, or tear their world apart completely? The cafe bell jingled again, and for the briefest heartbeat, everything felt suspended. Would they be able to withstand the truth, or would it shatter the fragile connections they had fought so hard to hold on to? The days passed in a blur, the tension palpable as Ava, Elise, Jeremy, and Katie prepared for their fateful meeting with Uncle Rob. Each step felt like walking through thick fog, uncertainty clouding their minds. The weight of their impending truths loomed heavy, but their resolve to uncover it never wavered. They found themselves gathering in the cozy cup one more time, a ritual that felt both comforting and foreboding. Ava glanced around the cafe. "Today's the day," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. She hoped the warmth of coffee and camaraderie would bolster their courage for what was to come. Elise nodded, but kept her focus on a half-empty mug, her thoughts clearly elsewhere. "Do you think he'll be willing to talk? After everything?" Jeremy leaned forward, determination etched on his face. "If he cares about your dad as much as he claimed, he won't turn us away." Katie rested a hand on Elise's arm. "You deserve answers. We all do." The three friends exchanged encouraging smiles, weaving a fragile but solid thread of unity among them. Suddenly, the bell jingled, and in walked Uncle Rob, wearing an earnest expression that quickly shifted to surprise upon spotting the four of them. "Hey, you're all here," he said, easing his way to their table. "What's going on?" "Uncle Rob," Ava began, her heart racing. "We need to talk. About Dad, about everything." The slight furrow in Rob's brow deepened as he sat down. "What do you mean?" Katie took a breath and carefully explained. "We've heard things that don't make sense. We need you to tell us the truth so we can finally really understand." A tense silence enveloped the table. Rob shifted in his seat and rubbed the back of his neck. "It's complicated. I wish things could be different for you kids, but some truths hurt more than you can imagine." "Maybe it's time we face those hurts," Ava interjected, desperation and defiance mixing in her soul. "We've been in the dark long enough. We can handle it." Rob's gaze softened. "Your father was trying to protect you, trying to protect all of you. After that night," he hesitated, fear and sorrow etched on his face.
"What night?" Jeremy pressed, leaning in. Rob hesitated again before nodding, as if surrendering to a wave of memories. "There was an accident during a town meeting back when everything began to unravel. It wasn't just an accident, though. Your father discovered something, corruption that went deeper than the town itself. People were hurt, lives forever changed. He felt responsible and thought that burying the truth would keep you safe." A wave of emotions crashed over them like an unfurling storm. Ava felt anger flare mixed with grief. "But lying only leads to more pain." Rob sighed, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I know. He wanted to shield you, but in doing that, he created a wall, one that your family couldn't break free from. And then he vanished. I think he was scared of what would happen next." Elisa's voice trembled as she spoke. "But what does that mean for us? Are you saying he left because of that night?" Rob nodded solemnly. The fear of losing you all led him to make decisions that ultimately led him away. The silence that filled the table felt dense and unforgiving. It was hard to digest the truth while their fragile hopes seemed to teeter like a tightrope walk above an abyss. "How do we move forward?" Katie whispered, her voice cracking. "We confront it," Rob affirmed, his composure steadying. "The truth won't disappear just because you avoid it. You can unearth that which scares you, or stand there perpetuating a cycle of lies. If you're willing to be brave, I'll help you. I still have connections, a few people who could provide insight." Ava felt a surge of warmth wrap around her heart. "We need that. We'll do whatever it takes, right?" She exchanged glances with her friends, their resolve solidifying like molten rock that cools to form a steadfast structure. "I'll join you," Rob said, a hint of fierce pride creeping into his voice. "I owe it to your father. I owe it to you." In that moment, a renewed strength filled the air like an invigorating breeze, lifting the veil of uncertainty. What lay ahead was still daunting, but for the first time, it felt like they were standing on the brink of claiming their own futures together. They had a mission to uncover the truth, not just for themselves, but for the entire community entwined in the tangled threads of their family history. The cafe around them buzzed with life, despite the gravity of their conversation, a testament to resilience in the midst of struggle. Ava felt her heart swell with hope, a flicker of light against the backdrop of uncertainty. As they left the cozy cup, shoulders squared with determination, Ava realized they were stepping into uncharted territory, armed with unwavering support. Together, they would face whatever darkness awaited them, and in doing so, reclaim not just their past, but their future. Would they emerge from this journey stronger than before? Only time would tell, and undeterred, they ventured onward.
This is the moment you've been waiting for. If you loved this story and want to see more transformations like this one, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait, not even one more second. Press that like button to feed the algorithm and show your support. We want to hear from you in the comments. Share your feelings about the ending. And please share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. We're all in this together. Let's light up the world with stories that matter.